Good morning, y'all. Matt in the hat. John North Ford Lincoln Nissan here in Emporia. It's not Monday again. It's also not 12 o'clock. But it is still time for Car Confessions. I come to y'all each and every week and talk about some type of sales tip, tactic, or topic, as well as alternate in some interviews from entrepreneurs and business owners to see what separates them from so many others. Rachel, what's going on? And what makes them different from somebody that just punches a clock every day and does the 9-to-5 grind. So, today is Thursday. It is not Monday like I mentioned. Today, I'm doing it because today is National Airborne Day. And that is something that means a lot to me, as opposed to, somebody else that wasn't. So, like, I used to work with a guy that was just regular infantry, not airborne infantry like I was. So, people like me jumped out of perfectly good airplanes. Tanya, thank you for joining. And hoped that our chutes would open on the way down. Most of the time they did. Very rarely did any chute not actually open. So today, instead of my normal topic or tip, I wanted to talk about what Airborne is and my top jumps. So first and foremost, as you can see, I'm not wearing my standard Ford hat. I am wearing my old unit patch, which is the 82nd Airborne. The AA stands for All American, not Alcoholics Anonymous. Stands for All American. Why? Because in World War II, 82nd found out there was a man represented from every state in the U.S., hence All Americans. The first jump, I believe, successful jump, was in 1940, and paratroopers were a real pivotal amount to the success in World War II, with 101st and the Rangers jumping in behind enemy lines and having a lot of success. So this is my beret. Yes, a beret. It is maroon. Anybody who is airborne wears a maroon beret to separate themselves from the regular Army that wears black, Rangers that wear tan. It has my unit patch on here, which is the 505. You can see it has the 1 dash mark in here, which means I was 1st Battalion, 505th Infantry Division. So that's, if you see somebody wearing a beret, that's what it means. So why would somebody jump out of perfectly good airplanes? Better question is, why not? My wife asked me that all the time. She still asks me to this day, after 14 years, what makes you jump out of a perfectly good airplane? Why not? As many of you that know me know, I am an adrenaline junkie, so if it gets an adrenaline rush, I'm going to do it. Whether that's jumping out of planes, swimming with stingrays, sharks, bungee jumping without the bungee, base jumping, whatever it is, if I can do it and get a thrill from it, I'm going to do it. So to take you guys through the top 6 jumps that I remember the most, I'm going to start with my very first jump. It was terrible. Why was it terrible? Because 18 years old, I went out drinking the night before. It's going to come to no surprise to many of you watching this. And we were up until about 2 o'clock in the morning drinking. Now, at 18 years old, even enlisted in the Army, so you can enlist to die, but you can't legally drink. Go figure. You'd think they would do something about that by now. But that's neither here nor there. So went out drank until about 2 in the morning. That day we had to be up and in formation at 5:30 to get bused to the Air Force Base and rigged up. I'm 18. I shouldn't be drinking. I know I smell like alcohol because I can smell myself. And in my infinite wisdom, I'm just thinking, if I don't talk to anybody or breathe on anybody, I'll be okay. I won't get in any trouble. So there's 4 of us that all went out drinking. So all 4 of us look like shit. We smell fucking terrible, and we're trying to act as sober as possible. And obviously, needless to say, we didn't do a very good job. But you are in full gear, and when you put on your chute, you have somebody that comes by. You have a jump master that comes by and inspects you. During inspection, I'm trying not to breathe on this sergeant because I am going to get my ass in trouble. And he is laughing at me the whole time because he can smell. He knows. He's not stupid. And he's just a few years older than I am. And he helped me out. He didn't dime me out and disqualify me from the jump, which he very well could have, because I was a risk at that point, along with the 3 other guys, to everybody that we were going to jump with. We get through all that, we load the plane, we fly. All 4 of us are the last 4 jumpers on the last pass. So we're going to be here for at least 2 hours. So we all rack out, we all go to sleep. Well, I wake up to somebody kicking me because the other 2 passes have already gone and are out. Everybody else is hooked up except for us 4. And so he's kicking me to wake me up, and I get everybody up. We clip on real quick, which, hindsight, probably should have done a better job inspecting than just clipping and praying. And we go out. We were all fucked up. We were all still drunk. But you hand your static line to the jump master and go out the door. And that first step out the door is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And these jumps are only 500 feet, which is a standard combat jump. But just that first step going out, looking at the horizon, looking at everything, is absolutely beautiful. Now, once you get closer to the ground, all right, sorry about that, guys, had a phone call. Once you get out, you're looking at the horizon. They teach you the 5 points of contact, which is the ball of your feet, your calf, your leg, solar plexus, and shoulder. How does that end up? Feet, ass, head is how that typically ends up. That's why over 3 years I had 3 concussions. But coming down, they teach you to keep your eyes on the horizon and keep your legs bent, because if you look down, you're not going to be able to judge that distance, and you're going to reach for that ground with your legs. You're going to end up breaking something. And I probably shouldn't have jumped, but I did, and it was awesome. I jump, and I'm just looking at the ground thinking this is gonna hurt, and I pull my risers down to collapse my chute and then let it go so it comes open bigger right before you hit the ground. And I have a jump master on the ground yelling at me because he can see I'm looking at the ground, not at the horizon, and he sees my legs are kicking, reaching for the ground. So I land and I just stand there. I don't do the points of contact. I don't roll. I don't fall like I should. And when I land straight leg, it hurt. He comes over, gets in my face, clotheslines me right in the chest. You forgot to roll, Airborne. Do push-ups. That was my first jump. My favorite jump was my foreign jump exchange in Paraguay. This was awesome. I was there for 2 weeks. It was a foreign jump exchange. We were supposed to do jungle training. That didn't end up working out. But we got to jump out of Chinook helicopters. I actually got to jump twice because I ended up in the hospital, almost died. That's a story for another day. These were 2,600, 2,800 feet, which is one of the highest jumps I ever did. But you get to walk out the back door of a Chinook helicopter, and when you're up higher, you're still hooked on that static line, so you get a lot more float time. At the same time, it's a lot harder because the wind's different, and it's going to change who knows how many different times from 2,800 feet to 0. And just looking at the land, you could see almost the entire Air Force Base we jumped out of. You could see the park across the way. You could see the ponds. You could see the marsh that I was trying to avoid. Thankfully, I did. I had to pull my risers to the front and pick up enough speed to pull me far enough away so I wasn't going to land in that marsh, because that would have sucked. But I got to jump twice. That was my favorite jump. I also found a new friend along the way. I found a 6-foot python I picked up on my way back and put it in my sergeant's face. He got pissed because he hates snakes. I ended up doing push-ups. My worst jump is so number 3 is my worst jump. That's probably a two-way tie. One would be an air show in Charleston that I did, where I jumped out of a C-5, which was one of the biggest planes that you could jump out of at the time. Anytime you jump out of a plane that big, you're going from 500 to almost 0. You're going to break some static lines. I had about 12 break, came in a lot faster, less control, landed on the tarmac, jacked up my knee, but I had a free pass that weekend from my first sergeant and CO, so I drank all I could that weekend. No repercussions. So it was awesome. Chuck, thank you for jumping in. The other one tied for that was the one where I got knocked out. There was multiple times I got knocked out, but this one I remember because the wind was blowing about 19, 20 knots. Anything over 13 knots we're not supposed to jump. So as I'm going to exit the vehicle, the plane's bouncing like this. The status light turns from green, which is okay to jump, to red, which means stop. So I stop. We hit another air pocket. I fall out of the plane, and thankfully static line hooked up, so chute opened. But I had an AT-4, which is an anti-tank weapon. It is basically like the old school bazookas and laws, and you are not supposed to jump with those if you are shorter than 5'8". At this point in the Army, I was only 5'4", 5'5", something like that. So it was taller than I was. And when I came down, it hit the ground before I did, came under my chin, knocked me out cold. You're not going to be able to see it because of the beard, but I've got a scar underneath my chin from where it hit me, knocked me out for about 2 hours. Number 4 is my most, is that right? Yeah, number 4 is my most painful jump. This one I'll never forget because it involves hitting the side of a plane. It's called being a toe jumper, where you jump, you hand your static line, jump out the door, but instead of your static line pulling your chute open, it's caught and you bang against the side of the plane till either A, your static line deploys, or B, they cut you loose and you're floating without a chute. Hopefully you're still awake that you can pull your emergency chute. In my case, I was still awake, pulled my emergency chute. I still have the handle to this day, but hitting that side of the plane, I broke my clavicle. So a lot of people notice my right shoulder is about 1.5 inches, 2 inches lower than my left shoulder. That's why it was broke. Didn't get it set and put back into place, so my shoulders look like this. I also fractured my hip, banged up my knee, and fractured my elbow. After that, it took me, because I only had the use of one arm, to take all my gear off and drag all of my gear, not only my parachute, but my rifle and my ruck, to the rally point. Was a period of about 4 hours. It was a terrible fucking night. I hurt like hell, and I was told to just rub some dirt on it and walk it off. I did. Number 5 of my top 6 jumps is my most memorable jump, and this was my first night jump. Now, during airborne school, you do 5 jumps. When you get to your duty station, they call you a 5-jump chump because you have 5 jumps. All of those are in the daytime. So I'd never done a night jump until about 2 weeks into being at my duty station. We go to the field for a 2 to 3 week exercise. First night jump. I was terrified because I had never jumped at night. All I knew is it was the same principles of hand the static line, take one big step, count till your chute opens, hopefully, lower your gear, look to the horizon-ish, and wait till you land like a sack of shit. Easy, right? So I'm the number 2 jumper, and all I'm looking at out this door is darkness. There's no lights on in the plane. It's all just red light, so it doesn't affect your night vision. So all I'm looking at out this door is just darkness. So I go through the motions, hand my static line, take that jump, and just wait, and I'm just counting. Chute opens, lower my gear, hit the ground like a sack of shit. We're good. But that is definitely my most memorable jump, just because everything was different. I thought everything was going to go wrong. I didn't know what to do, but I knew that the principles were the same. So I just went through the same motions that I had trained for in 4 weeks of airborne school, and the refreshers and reminders that we went through before we loaded the plane. So just to recap before I move on to number 6. Number 1 was my very first jump, which was being hung over in a plane. Well, it's more still drunk, not so much hungover. Don't recommend. Number 2, my favorite jump was foreign jump exchange in Paraguay. Number 3, worst jump, tie between the air show at Charleston, jacking up my knee, AT4 catching me under the chin, knocking me out cold. My most painful jump was being a towed jumper hitting the side of a plane. And the most memorable jump was my first night jump, because even though I'd never done it, I couldn't see what was going on, went through the motions, and it was absolutely awesome. Number 6, my last jump. I don't know what my last jump was. Why? Because I didn't know it was going to be my last. If I had known it was going to be my last, I would have, remembered what drop zone we were on, what the mission was, what plane we were jumping out of, what the mission was for that night. But I don't know, because I didn't know that it was going to be my last jump. Now, having said all of that, I miss it? Absolutely. There are weeks that I miss it every single day. How many jumps did I do? In 3 years, I did 42 jumps because I was a jump chaser. So what that meant, if they had openings on planes and they needed them filled because they didn't want to go empty, they would call units, see if they have anybody that wanted to go. And I did, because I knew if it wasn't our jump, number one, it was a pogue jump, which meant I could carry my 9mm on my hip, not my rifle, not my AT4. Number two, it was going to be in the daytime, not at night, so it was going to be a much easier jump. Number three, all I had to do was, I had no gear except for my harness, my pistol, and that all I had to do was just pick up my chute, walk to the rally point, jump on the bus, come back. That was it. In 3 years, like I said, I did 42 jumps. The average paratrooper in 3 years does anywhere from 12 to 16. So that's it. Those are my 6 top jumps that I can remember anyways. To everybody that I served with, that is still serving, happy National Airborne Day. Please like this, share this out, tag somebody if you know that they were airborne. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you all for your service. Thank you for your continued service. This is Matt in the hat, John North Ford Lincoln Nissan in Emporia. I do this because your experience matters, guys. Take care. Carry on.